Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the podcast. Today, we're going to be talking about evaluating and planning ahead for launches based on how your last launch went and what you want to create in your launches moving forward. So, if you had a previous launch, whether it was for a group program, one-on-one, maybe it was a mastermind or it was a mini course, and it didn't go the way that you expected, whether it was way off on the other end, didn't even come close to hitting your goal, or you came kind of close to hitting the goal, but you're wondering why you didn't just hit it and surpass it, right? So we're going to go into those details, and I'm going to give you some tangible things that you can shift right away as you go into planning for your next launch that will help you 2x, 3x, 4x the results next time around. All right, so let's jump right in. So I have a couple ways, a couple different angles I'm going to navigate this. I'm going to have 3, maybe 4, because I just like to add things as they come up. A lot of my podcast episodes are me channeling messages and trainings that are coming through for you all. So I'm always open to that guidance. So number 1 is what I really like to hone in on with my students. I don't know a lot of other coaches that really emphasize this as much as I do in a almost annoying way with my students, and that is evaluation. Every time my students create something in their business, I have them write out an evaluation list, or I have like different evaluation prompts and questions, and I'll have them kind of fill it out. They don't have to turn them into me or anything like that. It's not like I'm grading homework. It's more so for their own, it's for their own process so that they can really own when there's a celebration. Maybe it's a money win. Maybe it's something they created. Maybe they signed a client, right? Maybe they got asked to speak at a seminar or a conference, right? I really want them to be able to pinpoint the thoughts and the energies and the actions and behavior and identity that created that win. Now, on the other hand, if something didn't go as planned, like someone had a launch, someone did a training, someone, created something, sales call, whatever, didn't go as planned, I also have my students evaluate that as well so that they can really identify what didn't really go the way that they desired and really evaluate that, see what comes through, really looking back and seeing, oh, it's because, this is what my primary thought was, or, oh, this is what I did and I don't know why I did that, or this is why it happened, and I'm going to, do something different moving forward. So just having that awareness around your process, around what you're doing, I think is such a valuable asset to the way that we show up to our businesses and taking action. So that's number 1, is really evaluating what went to plan, what didn't go to plan, and what was the plan. So if we're looking at your last launch of your signature course, okay, let's just say, you really want to ask yourself, what is something that went well? And then what is something that didn't quite go so well? And you want to line these things out. And then you also want to identify, how do you want to go about this moving forward? Okay. I will say launches are very much a long game strategy. I'm going to say this a lot, and I have said this a lot, and I've also learned this the hard way. I remember thinking my first launch ever was going to be a 6-figure launch, and I had these multiple people telling me, including my mentor that I was working with and some other peers. I got myself so hyped up, but I had never launched anything before, right? Just because I had, a bigger audience, just because I had been working with a lot of different clients before I even had a launch, it didn't indicate that I was suddenly going to be great at launching. I was building my skill set to become good at launching, right? And now I would say that I'm pretty good at launching, but I still have a lot to learn about launching, just the way we all do, right? And even though I've gotten really good at launching, let's say my signature course, Business Activation Academy, before it transitioned into an all access pass, I am now learning how to launch my all access pass. And the way I'm launching it is a very different strategy, because now, BAA used to be a 55, all year, or it's like lifetime access, you get coaching calls all year round, you get access to this curriculum, and it was just one course, right? The Coven, which is an all access pass, you get access for 1 year only. You get all of my programs, all of my coaching courses, right? So even in the back end, it looks differently, not to mention mindset, identity, who I have to be, the way that I'm positioning this offer and its messaging versus BAA, which I've been talking about for like 3 years now, right? So even with different offers within one product suite, you are going to approach those launches in a different way. So just don't go into launching or selling assuming anything, all right? And also with that said, keep it a little bit more lighthearted and playful, right? I always like to remind myself during a launch that we're literally just on this spinning rock in the middle of the universe. And it's not that serious. It's not that serious, all right? And even if a launch completely flops, which I've definitely experienced that, it feels so big and so public and so vulnerable, but really nobody else is really paying that close attention, right? And if they are, don't worry about other people's thoughts. This is your journey. This is your long game, right? This is you learning to get better and better. This is not about anybody else. So it's okay, right? Launches are really going to be a long game strategy, and it's not about getting it right one time or getting it right the first time or getting it right a few times. It's about creating a sustainable strategy that works for your business, that allows you to create, like, you're always going to be tweaking, you're always going to be playing, you're always going to be doing things a little bit differently, right? Even if you've been selling the same offer over and over, there's still going to be ways that evolves because you evolve, right? So the first mindset with launching is it's never like one launch makes or breaks anything. Okay. It really doesn't, trust me. It feels like it is because we put so much time and effort and weeks of planning and a master class, and we invite everyone in, and then we're kind of like sitting there and waiting and going, okay, is someone going to sign up? It's so vulnerable. It is so vulnerable. Trust me, I get it. And when you put all of your time and effort and energy into something and you're like twiddling your thumbs waiting for someone to walk through the door, oh my God, it can be so heartbreaking. I've definitely cried the most during my businesses during launches, but that's also meant that I've learned the most. I'm a 3-line in human design. I'm a 3-5 sacral generator. Who else is a generator out there, or who else has a 3-line? So the 3-line, if you're unfamiliar with human design, is very much the trial and error. In the way that it's described, it's actually described as like you bump into things and things bump into you, and you really just learn and expand and grow as you're kind of bumping in, making mistakes, having these accidents, and then you figure out what you do or don't do. It's kind of like when you know that a dish is really hot and you're told not to touch it, and then all you want to do is touch it, and then after you touch it, you're like, damn, that's hot, right? And then you know not to touch it in the future because now your finger is burning and it's hurting and it's starting to bruise and swell and it's red and it hurts, it's painful, right? It's like you have to go through the experience. Someone can say, don't touch it, don't do it, it's gonna hurt, but then in your own body, you kind of have to be like, I'm gonna touch it, right? So that's very much the 3-line. That's me. And I am very much like the trial and error. I've tried a lot of different things. I've had a one signature course, and I've also sold multiple things at the same time, right? I've had one main course and one-on-one coaching, and then I've also had a mastermind. Now I have a mastermind and an all access pass, right? I have so many things that I've experimented and played with over the years that have honestly made me a really great dimensional, dynamic coach. And I'm able to serve my students in a lot of different ways and actually give a lot of options because I've tried a lot of things on my own. And so I really like to kind of pair what works with the energy that aligns to it. So my students know that they have options, they have freedom, they have the liberation and the autonomy of choice to choose what works best for you, your lifestyle, your vision, your schedule, your offers, your product suite, all of that good stuff. You don't ever have to be, just kind of limited to one thing. All right. So that's number one, is really evaluating. You want to go back into your previous launch and really ask, what didn't go to plan, right? What was I planning and what didn't go to plan? And probably a bigger question here, was there a very clear plan, right? And by plan, I don't mean that every single thing was like written out and every single thing was like planned out to the T, right? As most of you know, I'm not a huge planner. I like having clear structure to where I know what I'm working on. I know what's happening week by week. I know what is leading into the next. I like having all of my dates and the timelines, bonuses, expiration dates, all of that set aside. And then that way I get to like really cultivate my own energy. I like to mix it up. I like to have fun with it, right? You all see me. I've had so much fun with my launches and my courses and the way that I've done things. I did a try which tournament earlier this year for an entire month and segmented everyone into houses, which was so fun. And I've also done like week-long events, and I've done like Telegram trainings, and I've done all these different ways of looking at your growth and expansion. And yeah, I just think that there has to be a way that you gamify this so that, again, it isn't so serious. And I do think that's an important part of launching. So you really want to look at like, what did you plan? And I think honestly, one of the things I see a lot of the time is people are essentially like, it's not that there isn't any planning. It's like there is planning, but it's all kind of happening, or it's all smushed into 1 week of the cart open, right? It's like you wait until cart is open to start talking about the program. I've definitely done this in the past too. Okay. So this is not about like shame or calling anyone out in a negative way. I mean, I needed to hear all of these things in order to create 10K, 20K, 30K, 40K, 50K. I've had 90K launches, right? And the only way that I've been able to create that in my business is by being aware of what wasn't working. So, I mean, you clicked on this episode for a reason. There's something about this title of launch is not going to plan. So I would really take this with an open mind and an open heart and see where you can implement this and integrate these learnings into your future launch. And there's something really coming really soon that's going to be able to support you with this that I am not going to share right now in this episode, but you are just going to have to stay tuned, especially on Instagram. Okay, so yeah, that's evaluation, right? Making sure that you're not just, merging multiple phases into 1 week. Like you're not trying to do the tease phase, which should take about a week, the hype phase, which should be another week, and then, and then cart open, and then you're trying to like slam all of that into 1 week. Like, give yourself spaciousness. If I can say anything, give yourself more time than you even think you need. And that should be a good indicator of where your launches are. And then the more you launch, the more time you'll know what you need, right? Every single time I've launched, I'm like, oh my goodness, I should have given myself more time. Right? And so the last couple launches, I've given myself weeks to plan, weeks to create content, weeks to put together the sales page. Like, I've really gone out of my way to give myself time, and it's really been so beneficial. All right, let's move into number 2, which is, do you know your offer? Okay. And this isn't just like the contents of your offer. Obviously, yes, that's important as well, but I'm more so talking about the energy, the messaging, the vibe, the positioning, right? Like, do you deeply know your offer? Do you deeply know your clients and their journey and speaking to that transformation? Like, do you know why they would want to join and why they wouldn't want to join? All right. This is really important. And you want to be able to be clear on exactly who you're speaking to and at what pace of the journey they're at. So let's just take, for example, in general, for the most part in the past several years, I have served entrepreneurs from the start of their journey, meaning like building their first offer and signing their first clients, all the way to growing to 6 figures. And I work with a lot of multi-6-figure earners. And that has continued to grow and expand over time. But for a long time, I was very much the coach for a brand new coach, a brand new service provider who's looking to get their business off the ground, right? So when I created Business Activation Academy, it was for that person, for that first step of their journey. When I created my mastermind, it was for that person who was in the kind of middle of their journey, right? They already have worked with clients. They've already launched their program. They've already been in business. They know the foundation. They have an offer. They know how they're serving their people. They know who they want to work with. They already have a bit of a community that they're building online. They might have a podcast. They might be building out their first course or going from one-on-one to group, right? And even the mastermind has kind of evolved over time as well. But that's kind of what it looks like. So now I was serving women entrepreneurs who are growing their business. And then now I had a course for people at step one. And I had a mastermind for those who were growing and expanding into six figures, right? So when you're offering something, you want to know who you're offering it to and at what pace of the journey are they at. Let's just say you're a health coach, right? So are you working with somebody who is kind of at the beginning of their journey of taking their health seriously? They don't really know a lot about nutrients and supplements and what foods are good for them or what they're allergic to, or really being aware of their body, taking care of their body. Maybe you have a more of like a holistic mind, body, soul approach, right? And this person doesn't really know how to approach that, their themselves with a level of, love and positivity towards their body. And so these are all kind of newer concepts that you have to break down for them, right? Now, if that's not someone you want to serve, you can move to kind of the middle of the journey and just completely not work with people who are in that beginning level, which is totally fine. You don't have to have an offer that speaks to the people in the beginning stages, okay? So you can kind of jump to someone who's in like more of a seasoned-ish with their health journey. Like they know their body. They've already been working on loving their body. They've been working on, reframing their mindset around their body. They already have some type of workout regimen. They're already moving their body. They've already, been approaching nutrition and cooking for themselves, right? And maybe that's something that you just continue to work with them on with different meal plans and ways of eating and cooking and recipes. But it's not like you're teaching them how to cook and take care of their body for the first time. Does that make sense? So it's like you're speaking to this person and you have to decide what is going to light you up more. Teaching someone the beginning, which I feel like is more rarely the case, right? Like you get to work with someone who already understands and grasps these things. And then you get to create stepping stones for them. So for example, maybe they go through that signature program for the person who's already like seasoned in their health journey. And then the next step is maybe they do a mastermind with you or some type of intensive with you together with a group. And it's for the people who've already been taking care of their health really well. They're ready to take it to the next level, right? Maybe there's like more close-knit support or whatever it might be, right? So you really want to make sure. So let's say you're selling a course. You want to make sure you know who this course is for and also where it's going to serve them at what point of their journey. All right. Now, I always say this to my students. The only reason that someone doesn't buy is because they don't see their own transformation through your content, through the way you're talking about this offer, right? Like, there needs to be this vision of themselves that they see on the other side of this portal. That's like, oh my gosh, I can see her. I can smell her. I can touch her. I want to be this person. And I see it's not a different person. It's a more elevated, expanded version of themselves, right? It's like, oh, this person that has finally decided to work on their mindset around relationships, let's just say, right? So this is someone who is like, they're finally taking this into consideration and they're working on it and they're looking to expand in this way. And they see this vision of themselves with a partner in a relationship. It's loving. There's healthy boundaries. It feels so good. It feels so safe. It feels so secure, right? It's like when someone can see that and they want it badly enough, they're going to be like, all right, sign me up. I'm ready. I'm here to do the work. Like I'm sold, right? I want want this. I desire this, right? So that desire, that initial desire obviously has to already be there, which is what makes them a best client, which I talk a lot about with my clients, is speaking to your best clients, which is so important, right? And really being aware of who that is, who you're speaking to, really knowing and studying your clients, really knowing and studying their journey and speaking to their transformation. So that means your content is not just focusing on this X many calls, X much support, right? You get this bonus, you get that thing, right? Like that is important, but you want to speak more so to the transformation of who this person is going to become. Because honestly, if they are so hooked and sold on the transformation, they're not worried about to a certain extent. They're even like, they'll look at the price and be like, okay, I'll find a way to make it work, right? Because again, we're speaking to your best clients. Okay. All right. So number 3 is kind of a follow-up of number 2, which is, how do you feel about your offer? And how do you feel about your clients, your best clients? Now, a big prerequisite before 1, 2, or 3 in this episode is really that you are feeling so aligned and connected to your offer that you're selling. Okay. Like if you are not connected to your offer, you're not lit up about it, you're not excited about it, you're not feeling some type of way about it, right? It's going to be a lot harder to sell this offer because you're just not in alignment, right? It's like if you ever tried in the beginning of your business, you'd maybe try to offer something that wasn't in alignment with you. Like luckily my students, they haven't done this for the most part because we build a very aligned offer straight off the bat, which is a good thing. But let's say maybe you didn't work with a mentor in the beginning of your business, or you were kind of just looking around and seeing what other people were offering, and you decided to offer something based on what you thought should be offered, and then quickly realized like, oof, I don't even like talking about this, right? So hopefully we've gotten to a point since then where you're not offering anything that you are not 100% aligned to, and checking in, right? Like I sold BAA for 3 years, but recently when I got the nudge to transition it into my all access past the coven, I was starting to feel like, not that I wasn't aligned to what I was teaching, because I am, and I still offer the course inside the coven because I think that it is literally such a genius curriculum. But the issue more so was that like I wanted to grow in a way that this offer structure more so wasn't allowing me to grow. I wanted to create new courses. I wanted to create new programs, right? And I wanted a space to hold all of that. And that's what the coven does for me. And that's what BAA wasn't able to do after a certain point. Not that I, didn't, not that I like stopped aligning with what I was teaching and whatnot, right? And that can be the case sometimes. Like you look at your trainings and modules and, maybe there are some things in there that I'm like, oh, I might teach that just a little bit differently. But if you're really thinking that in a very prominent way, that might be indication that, okay, maybe it's time to retire this offer, dissolve this offer, and create something in its place, right? And so maybe you do like a last push, or you teach it live, or, whatever it is before you transition it into that next program, whatever it is, or you continue to sell it until your next program is ready, so you still have some cash flow in between. So there's a lot of ways that you can kind of build out that strategy there. But yeah, you want to be aware of like, what are you thinking about your offer? What are you thinking about your clients? Just because an offer is aligned doesn't mean it's magically just going to sell, right? Like it just because it's aligned to you and it is something that you're great at teaching. You're an amazing teacher. You're an expert in this topic. People listen to you. They stop their scroll. You've got an audience that's like hanging on to your every word, right? Like those are all amazing things. And I'm going to talk more about how to build that. But it doesn't mean that it just sells itself. Like just because an offer is aligned to you doesn't mean that you get to just kick your feet up and it just sells itself. So what we have to keep in mind here is that we still have to sell ourselves on the offer, okay? any time that I've downloaded an incredible offer that I'm like, oh my gosh, this is the best thing since sliced bread. I love this. I'm so aligned to this. I'm so excited about this. I can't wait to sell it. It feels so good. I can't wait for everyone to access it. Everyone's going to have such amazing transformations, right? Like that is how I feel for the most part, but I'm still a human being, right? And I know my brain, I know at a certain point, I'm going to get to a point where it's going to be like, well, but what about this? Are people going to want to buy because of this, right? My brain's going to start offering me these unhelpful thoughts, and I am going to have to create enough self-coaching and decide my thoughts ahead of time so that my brain doesn't come in one day if I'm having a bad day or something happens in my business and I'm not feeling as lit up about the offer for whatever reason, right? Or sometimes what happens is like we sell an offer and then it doesn't get as much response or signups as we thought it would because we were so excited about it and we felt like, oh my gosh, this is such an amazing offer. I know that this have changed and will change people's lives. Why is no one signing up for it right now, right? And that could also have to do with our thoughts and our energy around it. And it also, again, launching is a skill set. So it's not just about, your thoughts and your identity. That's one piece of it. But another piece of it is also learning the skill set of launching, selling, and really creating a launch season, a launch period that gets people excited, gets people hyped, gets people, addressing issues and concerns, obstacles, sticky points around this topic, offering solutions, talking to the transformation, really helping people see that vision we were talking about earlier on the other side. This picture still has to be painted for your audience, no matter how many times you've launched, no matter how many years you've been selling, no matter, how many students you've worked with, we still have to be explicitly sold to, especially if it's a new offer, right? If it's a new offer that hasn't been talked about before and has not been created or hasn't been sold in the past. I mean, if we are too spontaneous with it and we don't have a launch ramp up plan and we're not prepping our audience for it, it can create something that we call product shock in the industry, right? Which means like you just kind of release something, you expect it to do well, you post about it a couple times, and then you see that people aren't signing up, or, it is a moment where people are shocked by the product because they haven't had the warm up period, right? They haven't had the, ability to really like desire it and be seduced by it, right? So that is something that needs to be a part of the launch phase. I also want to talk about the importance of deciding your thoughts, deciding your energy before going into a launch, because trust me, it's going to be so much easier to decide this before the launch starts versus halfway through the launch when, maybe one person has signed up or 2 or 3 people have signed up, but maybe you're not quite at your goal yet. It's going to be harder to form and solidify and really hold yourself in those thoughts in a very confident way, especially if you're having to create and reframe new thoughts while you're launching, while you're selling, and creating content at the same time. So that's why before your launch starts, some of the most important work is going to be that pre-work that you do, which I'm going to go more into depth on later on, especially with what's coming. And that way it's going to set you up for success during the launch. Okay. So that way you don't have to do everything that week of launch. The week of launch should really be you utilizing everything that's already been created, the sales pages that have already been created, the content that has already been created, or maybe you're creating a little bit of it while you're going through it, right? But you get to focus on self-coaching yourself. You get to focus on being coached, right? You get to focus on your identity. You get to focus on, showing up and creating some extra content from that energy. You get to focus on really holding yourself to that level of belief for your offer, for your clients, for yourself. And that is really where your brain gets to be like, oh, okay, I can relax. Okay, I only have the one thing to worry about, which is getting my brain and my energy and my identity up to 100% or as close as possible, right? It's going to be really hard to do that and create content and plan out the phases and do the hype period and the teasing period and figure out the wait list and talk about the bonuses and and make all those decisions. Like, you're going to have a lot of decision fatigue. So it helps to have all those decisions made beforehand, all of the dates on the schedule, like write it all out on the calendar. During launch, I know exactly what I'm doing. I know exactly what's going out. I know exactly what pieces of content are going out because it's literally all written out and pre-planned. I might not have written every single thing out, but I know what's going out and I know what the schedule looks like, right? So that way I'm not wondering, oh, what do I do today? Do I post something today? Do I go on live today? Like, what should I do? And then maybe something happens where I have a sales call or I'm talking to someone in the DMs and they ended up saying no, or two people say no back to back. If I'm having like a rough day where it's taking me a little bit longer to come back from that, and I still have to create content, I still have to go on live, I still have to figure out what I need to do for the launch, it just, for me, it takes a lot longer, right? So having that planning phase, having the identity and thoughts also pre-planned ahead of time, your strategy and your schedule isn't the only thing that needs to be pre-planned. Your thoughts also need to be pre-planned. So when you get into a launch period, something comes up, right? You know what you're believing. You're working on your thoughts before the launch even starts, and you are allowing yourself to, you're giving yourself time to really set your launch up for the best possible maximum potential that it could possibly be, which is so important, so valuable. I can always look at someone's launch results and really see and determine how much they've planned and how strong their belief is based on their results, because it shows, right? It's literally 1 + 2 is 3. If you have strong beliefs, a strong plan and execution, right, you get the results. It's not, unless there's some other like very like glaring issue in the business. Most of the time, if you've got an offer and you know what your people desire, you're feeling aligned to it, right? You're working on your beliefs, you're working on your energy, your identity, your messaging is clear, your positioning is clear, right? You're speaking to the right people, your strategy is planned out, your launch planning is all good to go, right? You are going to get either the results or very close to the results that you are expecting for this launch. All right. So there's definitely going to be something coming that's going to support you even deeper around fun, flowy, playful launches. So stay tuned, because I'm going to be announcing all of that. I'm sharing with you on the podcast first and foremost, but a lot more content and information and details will be coming out mainly through Instagram stories. But if you're super curious and on the edge of your seat, you can DM me and I'll share a little bit of it with you and to let you know what dates to look out for, because this is going to be big and it's going to be so good. All right. So I love you all. Thank you for tuning in. As always, to deepen this work together, the Coven is my 1-year-long all access pass where you get access to all of my programs. You get access to bi-weekly live coaching calls. You get access to literally like all the courses, everything that I'm planning, all of my trainings. You have the most amazing community on the planet. We have a private Telegram space that's always popping off with people supporting each other, sharing wins, coaching each other. It's really such a beautiful space to be a part of as you are growing your business, to be with these other spirit-led, heart-centered leaders that are growing alongside you. So if you're wanting to deepen in this work, be mentored by me, get my eyes and ears inside your business, planning your launches, the Coven is the place to be. And I have something coming very, very soon that you all get to be a part of to really deepen on this work. So stay tuned to that. All right. I love you. If this was supportive and helpful, please leave a 5-star review and some thoughts. I'd love to see it. I love reading through the reviews that come in. And even if you tag me on your stories on Instagram at tiffanychung.co, it always makes my day. And I love being able to celebrate those who are sharing to their stories. So thank you for tuning in, and I'll catch you in the next episode. Bye.